Yes, did you print?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure. Anybody needs, do you need?
Please.
Yeah, sure. Okay, good evening, fellows. Welcome to the first meeting of our mastermind group here, which is for the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So let's start formally to introduce yourself so we all know each other. So we'll start from here, Mr. Sayed.
So I'm Fazil. I share his name. I've seen some of you guys in the last class, and I'm looking forward to being there and learning. Yeah.
I'm Elena. I've been to the first mastermind group and I loved it, so I came back.
Thank you.
I'm excited to learn with you.
My name's Don, same thing. I was here for the last mastermind group and it was great, so I'll come back for this one, and also is great, so it was good to hear what you guys say.
So Melissa, I guess fasting invited me to the last one, so this is the first time for me. So I'm looking forward to learning a lot from him and everyone.
My name is Jay. I've been some of the prior ones. Enjoy it. Like talking about the books. Like other people's perspectives on the books, because I learned something new from everybody. So speak up.
I'm Sunny, and this is the first time I'm here in any mastermind group. The idea appealed to me so much that people can discuss what they read about a book, so that different ideas can come together, and that way different perspectives can be taken from the same thing that one person is reading. So that idea appealed to me so much, and of course, Faz is so knowledgeable, and whatever background he gave me, that this is what we do. I was sold on it. So this is my first time, but I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. And you all know my name is Faz, and I facilitate these things, and I'm part of John Maxwell Group for almost a year now, even over a year. And recently, from January 1st, I have been promoted as an executive director for the John Maxwell team. And I've been conducting these mastermind groups, and I do lunch and learn meetings in different corporations. And also I'm doing speaking part for seminars, training, and keynote. And I'm heading next month after this mastermind in Dubai and Pakistan, and probably I will be delivering 7 different speeches in 7 different venues. So it's fun, and I'm enjoying this journey. And the only thing I love in this part, it gives me something to think and something to work on for myself, as well as it gives me a little bit, because I'm 62-year-old now. So what legacy should I leave before I leave this world? So I'm trying to work on that so I can touch people's life and I can help somebody and add value in their life. So at least in this way, this will go on and on and on. It's going to be a continuous wave of helping each other. This book I picked because of one reason, because I read a lot of books. I was mentioning before you guys walked in, and we were talking that this is one of the best self-development book I ever read, honestly. We did on a leadership the best book last time. But this is for the self-development. There are certain things. If we live by these laws, we can reach at our potential. It's a lot of things. And they are not rocket science, believe me. These are very daily and common things. But we never focus on that. So we are going to discuss certain our own experiences throughout this journey. And we are going to talk about how to improve. And again, we are going to tag with each other. It's accountability partners. So in case if you feel any difficulty, feel free to contact with each other as a team player. And in this way we can grow together. And don't hesitate to ask any question. That's the key in your personal growth. People always prejudge, oh, this question is going to be right or wrong. There is no wrong question in this universe. Everything is right. If it has been asked on the right time with the right person, it becomes right. So don't hesitate, just ask each other. If I don't know, maybe Mr. Sayed can tell you, Jay can tell you. And by the way, just for a quick snap, Jay himself is an author of 2 books. So, I mean, obviously, he understands how difficult it is to write a book on a certain subject. It takes a lot of research, a lot of work. So obviously, John did a great work, and again, people did for him, and we all can get benefited. So in this, we have 15 laws he tells us to start with. And he told his story, probably you guys already read, how he came up with this. He was at a lunch with a guy named Kurt Meyer, and he asked him, "Hey John, do you have any personal growth plan?" And he was a Mr. Answer, just like anybody else. You see those people, before you finish your question, they start answering. They know nothing, but they will try to answer. So he was trying to tell him, "Oh yeah, how difficult is a pastor's job? I work 17 hours and this, and I go to the community." He said, okay. After 15 minutes, he couldn't really answer. So he was like a plane, didn't find a place to land. And at the end, he got out of fuel and exhausted and shut up. And then this guy said, "So you don't have a plan." Yeah? So that brought him into this line to do that I had to do myself. So he bought his first kit in $799, and this is like 42 years ago. His salary was less than $800 a month. So, and they didn't have credit cards in those days, so they have to arrange the money and they have to borrow the money, him and his wife. But from there, he built this new empire, and he's now multi-millionaire. He has his own plane, personal jet. He wrote, like I said, 103 books and sold 21 million books. And he does every day big events where he charges in 6 to 7 figures. So that one growth kit made him to become whatever he is. So the bottom line is, are we doing something for ourselves? And regardless, whatever our profession is, somebody's in real estate, somebody is in grocery side, or somebody is in personal own business, somebody in investment, somebody's in sports industry, whatever you are, still you have to grow. So there's the first law, which is the most important law, and that's why it's called the first law, because although every law is important, but the first law is the foundation of all the rest of the laws. If you do first one right, automatically you'll follow the rest. And it's called law of intentionality. So growth doesn't happen automatically. It's not an accidental. It has to be intentional. You have to have a plan to grow yourself. So that's what he said. And he told this story, and you see the first question was that, do you have a plan to grow? And personal growth is not a natural process. But we have a lot of these hurdles which makes us a little bit lazy and lousy in terms of thinking about that subject, because there are gaps there. And he tells about 8 different gaps pops up. So for example, whatever you do, you think that, oh, number one, which is always happens, is called assumption gap. I assume that I will grow. I got this job. If I'm going to stick to this job long, I'll grow. It happens all the time. If I'll stay at one place, if I'm doing a real estate thing, if I'll stick with that real estate, I will grow. Do you think it's right? It's not going to change till you don't change, because we are talking about the environment to change. Everything has to change so I can grow. No, you have to change first. You have to grow first. So that's called assumption gap. We have always this assumption that I'm going to be automatically grow. I will. So how we can know that if we are growing? my question is, so give me in a one-liner answer, how do you know that I'm growing?
If you're making new mistakes, if you keep making the same mistakes again and again,
Mhm.
then there's no growth. I always liked when someone would question, someone says, I have 10 years' experience. And they say, do you really have 10 years of experience,
Mhm.
or do you have 1 year of experience 10 times over?
Yep.
Because people who don't grow stay where they are,
Mhm.
and they keep just running into the same walls.
Yes.
And if we're getting outside of our comfort zone, if we're growing,
Mhm.
we're always gonna be experiencing setbacks and failures, because that's how we learn, that's how we build skills.
Mhm.
So I would define growth as a succession of new failures and course corrections and insights that allow you to get to higher levels of productivity.
Awesome. Anybody else would like to share something?
I think you know that you grow if you achieve your goals. New goals, not
Mhm.
the same goal, obviously. But if you set the goal and you achieve it, that's a good indication of growth, I would think.
And then also, overcoming things that you've had difficulties with in the past
Mhm.
would be a good sign of growth.
I think measuring your efforts.
Mhm.
Like if you keep a goal and you say, 6 months to get here and I couldn't do this, 2 months later you're able to do something which you weren't able to do 6 months ago. And so you have to measure your efforts.
Mhm.
There's a process in place.
Mhm.
So I love to learn, but now I find like I learn but I forget things.
Mhm.
So I find if I learn and if I have time to teach it, then I actually get to
Perfect.
remember it and I'm actually growing.
Awesome.
That's great.
What I was thinking, I mean, points coming to our mind have already been summarized. So I was thinking of the same lines, saying that I was agreeing with Eleanor and
Mhm. Done.
Don, that once you have a goal in front of you and you keep on achieving it, different goals, like small goals, and you achieve it, then look at something else further ahead.
Mhm.
You keep on achieving your goals in time, it seems like you're making progress, that you're growing.
Mhm. The second gap which pops up in your personal growth is called the knowledge gap. And this is most popular among everyone. Oh, I don't know how to do it. Correct? Everybody has a goal, like you said. I have a goal, I have a dream, whatever you name, but I don't know how to do it. That's called knowledge gap. So the question is, not knowing how to grow can be a powerful reason to simplify, not try to grow. That's how you say it. Because you are simplifying your excuse not to grow. So you have to take that out of your mind. Knowledge you can always get by studying, by hanging out with certain people, by getting mentorship from someone who already did it, by getting a coach, by getting a counselor, whatever your weaknesses are. So the knowledge gap can be filled by books, by videos, and nowadays YouTubes and everything. So many resources are available. And like just how I said that I forget. Why have now, do you think anybody can remember anything? They all have no brain, but they have a cell phone. That reminds them everything nowadays. Your schedule, your tips, correct? Your everything. In old days, you had to write down everything, jot it down, you have to memorize. You have to tell your spouse can you wake me up, please? Because I have a meeting here. Your phone wakes you up automatically, correct? So we have that excuse, but that's not an excuse. Then the third gap is called the timing gap. And that's always, again, pops up, oh, it's not the right time to do it. So my question is, who can determine you that which is the right time? How you can determine that it's the right time? How you can tell this is the right time? Have you ever thought about that? What time is the right time? Yes. Because this is a universal issue. If you don't do it now because of timing, the odds are you will never going to do that, period. Odds are that you're not going to do it, so just do it. So the timing gap, again, is just an excuse. Otherwise, it's not the real reason. Longer you're going to wait, chances are you're not going to do it. Same thing, then it's another like mistake. That how if I'm going to make a mistake? Because I don't know how to do it, how I'm going to do it right. And the mistake gap, people are afraid for making mistakes. I was talking to a guy last night. He is a production guy. He does like a stage and all these and very big like those what's called stage theaters and all that he conducts. But his problem is, he said, I want to write a blog. He didn't know how to do it, so I was just explaining him. Start writing.
Right.
First of all, you start writing. Oh, but who's going to read? I said, this is none of your business.
Say something meaningful, people. will
Correct.
do it.
This is none of your business. First you write it, then somebody is going to say whether I'm going to read or not. But you didn't write yet. So we were talking and he said, oh, but I have to be good. I said, no. You have to start to be good, not you have to good to be start. Keep in mind. Once you're going to start, then you're going to get better and good and whatever you want.
Well
You're not going to good to be start. So make sure you just start it. And I was talking to him and I said, you have to understand, nobody knows you unless you don't come up yourself with something. So you have to make your identity by doing something, and you have to do it. So he said, oh, it's my dream, I want to be a blogger. Okay, have you ever written anything? No. How you're going to be a blogger? So that's called a mistake, and what a great, this code, honestly, although John wrote it here, but Jay, I heard it in 1997. I was watching, I was new in this country for just a couple of years here, and I ran into, like, remember my story, I ran into a group of network marketing, Amway, and they were just weird people, but they are great people to me, and I learned a lot from them. And it was an Indian guy who who recruited me in that. But he showed me, like my growth plan came from there. Because these people, although they are network marketer, but they want you to be motivated and inspired and fired up. So they told you to read these books and that and that. And then they have meetings every week. You go there is a speaker who motivates you, who inspires you. So I was watching and listening to them. Never ever I was impressed the money they used to show, oh, you'll become a $200,000 man without doing anything. I said, that's a bullshit.
Right.
It's not. That's just a stupid statement. Obviously you have to do. But the way I was learning through those books and tapes, those cassettes. So I was watching this program on Sunday, Power of Hour, if you remember that, Robert Schuller.
Yeah.
Ooh. So this specific thing which John wrote in this book, I heard then, that what would you attempt if you know you would not fail?
Right.
Yeah.
Think about that. If you take a moment and repeat it yourself, what would you attempt if you know that you won't fail? How many things are going to pop up which you don't do? And I'm going to ask you just...
And how long would you persist?
Well, that's the following thing. But my point is, if just think for that, if I won't fail, tell me 5 things what you would like to do. Forget the failing part.
Well, I always want to try to jump out from the airplane.
That's okay.
You won't fail.
That's my bucket list too, by the way. That's in my bucket list too.
But now they have the iFly.
Yeah. So my point is, yes, same thing. You will pop up. Oh, maybe I want to do this. I want to do that.
The easy part is jumping out of the airplane. The more difficult part is landing healthfully.
I don't know, it's easy to jump out.
Gravity takes care of it.
So my point is, you can definitely come up with so many things which you would like to do in your life, but the only thing holds you, how if I'm going to make a mistake. Same thing, they have a perfection gap. I have to find the best way before I start. Like I mentioned, you don't have to be good to start. You have to start to be good. So don't worry about perfection, especially I'll ask Sayed because he is a sportsman and he coaches people to play tennis, correct?
Yeah.
So when they start, how they start? Generally, like a new person who never had any experience.
You just get started. I mean, you have a little bit of a plan, but I tend to have a plan for them.
Mhm.
But keep it as simple as possible.
Mhm.
Tell them you're gonna make a lot of mistakes,
Yeah.
but enjoy it. Yeah.
So how many times you saw people they grow in their game
Every day,
every day? See?
every hour.
So that's a right example here. Same thing Jake knows when he teaches people about financial investments and other. How many times you saw people were skeptical and then 6 months later, oh Jay, thank you for telling me, oh gosh, I made this much and I made that much, correct? Same thing as a business owner, you see that way too. So we all see. So basically there is nobody who is perfect and you cannot be perfect. You can be good, you can be better, but you cannot be perfect. So you have to start to be perfect. So this is always another gap is. Then we have inspiration gap. I don't feel like doing it. And this is again BS, but that BS doesn't mean that. It's a belief system. So we have a belief, I don't get inspired. So stay wherever you are. You are not going to grow. You have to believe. You have to follow. You have to feel it. Where do you want to go first? And you have to make a plan. So out of all the gaps, this is one of the requires a simple decision. Will I do it or not? If anything comes up, you have question. Will I go for it or not? Correct? And that's called your basically inspiration. If you feel it, go for it. If you don't do it. But you should not start your growth by that. Action will make the difference. Okay? And then seventh one is called comparison gap. And this is again another big issue in our society. We never ever think about ourselves. We always think about someone else and we compare ourselves to them. Like I see in Toastmaster, for example, we have Toastmasters here. Everybody wants to be the world champion of public speaking. That I want to speak like him. Okay, you can. But have you ever noticed how much work he did in the past? Are you willing to pay that price? Are you going to do it? You can do it too. So it's not a rocket science. It's just the way we compare with people and then we get distracted and we get frustrated. Oh, I can't do that. No, so the problem is don't compare. You are your own competition. You are your own friend and you are your own worst enemy too. Who's going to stop yourself? So better don't compare, just do the way you are. People want to see you. As a speaker, like I go somewhere and he said, oh, what speaker you follow? I said, I listen to everybody. I watch everybody. Oh, but whose style? I said, my own style. You're here to watch me and listen to me, not John Maxwell. You can watch on YouTube or pay $100,000. He is going to come to your house and speak. Correct? You're here to listen to me, just whatever I am. That's going to be my own style. I'm going to get better? Of course I will. Everybody's going to get better. But so my point is, don't compare with anyone. Just be your own. There is always someone better in this life. Wherever you see, whatever profession you are in, whatever business you are in, there is somebody who's better than you. You can get inspired, but you cannot compare with them. And don't try to imitate anybody, period. People want you to see as an original. God made you unique, so be yourself. And last gap is called expectation gap. I thought that it would be easier than this. Always we think, oh, I thought that it's going to be a lot easier, but no. Okay. So usually people have this formula that preparation, which is called growth, plus attitude, plus opportunity, plus action doing something is equal to luck. That's called luck. But can you tell me the real meaning of luck? Anybody? I'm curious.
It's when you prepare.
Go ahead. Yeah. Explain. What did you say?
So when you prepare yourself and then there's an opportunity that's available, then you're very lucky to be in that position.
Very good. What do you think? What do you mean by luck in your perspective?
Personally, I feel it's just a personal opinion that there is no such thing as luck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there is luck involved in anything at all. It's our own efforts.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever comes to us, whether we grab the opportunity or not,
Mm-hmm.
it's not luck actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way things are and how they come to us and how ready we are to take that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Don?
The same thing, it's being prepared for when opportunities
Good.
present themselves.
Mhm.
There really isn't any
Mhm.
luck, it's,
Mhm.
you have to do the work, be prepared
Mhm.
for when opportunities
Yeah.
are there.
Unless you win the lottery, right?
Yeah, I'll come to that point too. What do you think, Mr. Sayed? Luck.
Luck, I don't really believe in luck, so, yeah, I think everybody else has similar views. I don't believe in luck. It's, you work hard and one day when you are working hard, something magical happens.
I came up with this word, and honestly, I ran into a very, very genius guy, and I was talking to him, and I asked him, I said, tell me about luck. He said, you want to know, can you tell me first, what do you mean by luck? I said, I don't have any clear picture. He said, let me tell you exactly what this world is all about. And he said, laboring under correct knowledge is called luck. Laboring under correct knowledge is called luck. So if you are doing a right thing on the right time and it works, people think that you're lucky. But actually you did it because you had a correct knowledge of that. Or you were doing in a correct way. That's all it works. Is no such thing free. As far as the lottery is basically, that's, again, you can say it's luck for someone, but what are the odds for that luck? In millions, all right? And most of the time the people, they hit the lottery, after a couple of years they are broke again because they don't know how to take care of that because they don't have a knowledge. So that's called luck. So let's, you have this, if you want to fill out these, your first one. So the personal growth is not a natural process. And the assumption gap means I assume that I will automatically grow. And the knowledge gap is I don't know how to grow. Same thing, the timing gap, it's not the right time to begin. And the mistake gap is I'm afraid of making mistakes. The perfection gap is I have to find the best way before I start. And the inspiration gap is I don't feel like doing it. The comparison gap, others are better than I am. And the expectation gap is, I thought it would be easier than this. And at the bottom you see preparation plus attitude plus opportunity plus action is equal to luck.
Before you move ahead, I think there's an aspect of this related to intentionality that's missing in that last little formula. And my thinking is that you need alignment of the right preparation and the right attitude and the right opportunity and the right action toward a specific end. Because you can be preparing in a lot of ways, and you could be pursuing an opportunity that's somewhat different than not aligned with what you're intending. Or you could have a very optimistic attitude about things, but if it's not in if these things aren't in harmony, so when you get into the flow, when this really works well, and you're achieving the right end state, you're at what you intended, all of a sudden, it's because you have aligned the right preparation with the right attitude, with the right opportunity, with the right action for that specific result. And I think where most people get screwed up is they never connect the dots. They just think that, oh, I need to have a positive attitude, or I just need to be taking a lot of action, when the action they're taking may never, ever be able to get them to the goal that they really want. So I just think that intentionality and alignment are very connected in that way.
I think there's a lot of it, I know from my personal experience, I think self-awareness, that creates intentionality. You gotta know who you are,
Right.
what you can do, and you gotta believe in yourself. You could be fooling yourself and sort of like working hard in circles,
Exactly.
you know, that's
Yeah,
good.
and that's the next law, we are gonna go for it, the awareness. But before that, let me ask you this. So now we know what we are talking about, law of intentionality, pretty much we got a little bit idea. So the question is how to live it. How you're gonna live with this. So first thing first, is start making your plan now. If you want to be intentional about your growth or about anything which you want, you have to be making your plans now. Like we just discussed, we can't wait. We can't compare. We can't be perfect. We can't be all these assumptions. So we have to make a plan now. So how to make a plan? Now is the question, correct? So you have to ask few questions to yourself and ask the big questions now. So let me tell you the first question which you have to ask. The first question is, where do you want to go in life? Just ask yourself, where do you want to go in life? What direction do you want to go? And what's the farthest you can imagine going yourself? How far you want to go? And how long will this take?
Where do you want to go in life?
What direction do you want to go? Right? Ask these big questions.
And 3 is what? How far?
How far do you want to go? And how long will this take? So once you have these things in your mind, it becomes so easy, and because you're intentional already, you're ready to go. Just you have to figure it out. So do it now is the key. Look at your watch right now and tell me when someday strikes. Like we always say, oh, someday I'm going to do this, someday I'm going to do that. Show me on your watch, where is someday? All other days are there, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I never saw a someday. So how you are going to do on someday? So you have to do it now. Like aside the saying, now is the best time to start anything. Now is the best time to start anything. So the first of all, we have to be prepared to face the fear factor. These all assumptions which we discussed. Fear of failure, we discussed. Fear of trading security for unknown. For example, I see a lot of time people, they complain, they whine about different things. But the bottom line is they are insecure inside. That's why they don't quit, whatever they are doing. So you have to overcome on that. Discuss this reality. Security is a myth. So we have to talk about the same fear which you have. For example, Elena, I'm picking on you just for an example. Whatever fear you have, wherever you want to go, and you can't figure it out, what you're supposed to do.
Act.
Yeah, you're acting because you're intentional. So it's better to ask Halissa. Maybe she can come up with a different answer on that fear. And that's how you can overcome. That's the whole purpose of these mastermind groups. So for example, something which I feel like, oh, I'm so scared to do that and I can't do that. But then I'll ask Ahmed, if you are in my shoes, how are you going to handle it? Maybe he has some other plan in his mind which I never thought about. Correct? So that's it.
Sometimes they talk about exploring your why.
Yep.
And when you have a big enough why, that staying where you're at is no longer acceptable because of the motivation that you have to produce some given result, to achieve some level of growth so you can manifest what you're really desiring.
And that Jay brought this point, and I believe I did talk on the last mastermind, if you were not part of that. The best book on that, why, is written by Simon Sinek. And his book is Golden Ring. And I will give you in a 60-second snap of that. Most of the time, we are worried about, and when we talk to each other and say, hey Elena, tell me what to do. Correct? Mostly people ask from each other, what to do? And then the second question they ask, how to do it. Correct? And then the last question they ask, why I'm doing it. Have you seen those people around you? Always. What to do, how to do, and why I'm doing it. If you reverse this whole process and ask first why I'm doing it, you will see how and what will follow automatically because you have a why. You have a reason for that. So you have to find the reason first before you do something rather than doing something and finding a reason to justify it. Doesn't make any sense. So my point is Simon Sinek, if you heard his name, obviously, and he is one of the topmost speaker around the world. And he's the only one in this entire universe, I can say nowadays, whose TED Talk has been watched over 2 billion people watches on his speech, on a TED Talk. And that was his speech, to find your why. And then he became the #1 speaker around the world. He's a great guy, he's a very intelligent guy. So if you get a chance, you can watch on YouTube or you can read his book. Either way, I mean, he's a great speaker on that specific subject. Why? Yeah, so once you find your why, how and what is not going to be a problem. But if you're going to go in a reverse direction, then you will be confused and you are not going to do it. So, there are two kinds of growth we have, like usually, what's the difference between accidental growth and intentional growth? Here is the difference I will show you. Accidental growth is people talk like that. Plans to start tomorrow. The intentional growth means insist on starting now. It's two different ways to look. Waits for growth to come it's called accidental, but you go towards intentional growth. You takes responsibility to grow yourself. Learns only from mistakes and learns before mistakes is intentional growth. Depends on good luck, accidental, relies on hard work, which we discussed. Quits early and often, and in intentional growth, you preserves long and hard. Accidental growth falls into bad habits, and intentional growth is fights for good habits. Accidental growth talks big, intentional growth follows through. Accidental growth plays it safe, and in intentional growth, you take risks. Accidental growth, you think like a victim, but intentional growth, you think like a learner. Relies on talent, relies on character. Stop learning after graduation, never stop learning. It's two different ways to see intention. Most of the time what happens, you got a degree in a certain subject. So if you see how you grew up from your childhood, you went to a primary school, elementary school, then secondary school, and then college, and then masters. They all have a curriculum for you to go through. And most of the time, if you are in school, you just stick around, don't even study, they are going to pass you at some point. And you're going to have the degree because it's a curriculum. You are just following step by step by step by step, right? And once you took all those baby steps, they will push you out, regardless whatever you know. But life is not about that. Life takes your growth, mental growth, all kind of your financial growth, your like emotional growth. And there is no curriculum for that. You have to grow yourself. You have to find a way to grow. You have to learn from each other. You have to learn from your own experiences, by your own mistakes like we just discussed, by your own why. So that's it. Also very important. So now once you do that, you have to lead it. And after that, this is your law of intention. So now let's take another quick snap of so before we do wrap up on the first law. Any thoughts, any questions you have on law of intentionality? Anything?
I would add that accidental growth
Yes.
is all too common
Mm-hmm.
because most people are on autopilot and they're just being reactive to whatever
Yeah.
comes their
Yeah.
way. And for people who are purposeful and intentional,
Mm-hmm.
who understand, there's a statement, who
Mhm.
must I become to manifest what I desire?
Mhm.
It's the process of becoming the characteristics that would naturally befall that person. When you can become who you must be to manifest your desires, then you will naturally get what you desire. And so while it's uncommon, it's a real benefit for the people who choose to become intentional, because the average performance of so many people is so low because they're really just being reactive, not proactive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the standard is so frickin' low, it's easy to excel
Mm-hmm.
if you just choose to do it.
Anything else you would like to add?
I find that, like you say, society has a plan for us, where you go to school, elementary school, and you go to high school or college. That's the path everyone takes. And then the desire is to make a good living. So it's not the desire to become who you want to become. It's more
Mhm.
like, hey, go to college and get a good job afterwards. This, I'm not sure about other people, but my surroundings more like, just be safe, do this path, get a good education, get a good job, and you be happy. But there's no passion, no desire, like,
Mhm.
who do you really want to become? How we can help you to get there?
Right.
Or show us
Mhm.
what is out there. Sometimes I don't know what's out there, like, even now, CEOs, I don't know what they do.
Yeah.
What kind of decisions making them, they doing. There's no role models for them.
Mhm.
And, you know, if you become a business person, who do you look after?
Mhm.
Who's your dream person to become? So
Mhm.
I don't see that. I want to see more of them,
Mhm.
you know, somehow what's out there so that your desire becomes higher. Because if you only follow the herd, then you're just moving along.
Yeah. Anybody else would like to check in? Any few?
I was also thinking, I mean, coming from India, of course, everybody knows that it's the second most populated country in the world. So, all that population creates a lot of competition. It's very, very good. Be it school right from the start when the kid is, going to the kindergarten or going all the way to the 12th grade, further in college.
Mhm.
So society, all this population around you, your friends, relatives, everybody else who you come into contact with, they kind of, not exactly I would say pressurized, but this kind of pressure is there all the time that you have to compete with everybody else to be somebody in life. So for that competition to be there are only certain areas because the examples in front of you are kind of limited that, okay, these are the few fields
Mhm.
that if you go into one of these, then of course you'll be a successful person. Those few fields mean somebody can be a doctor, an engineer, at the most or a CA, or not many fields are like that. Once, let's say I was there for about 25 years and then I came to this country. Once I came here, the growth potential was so much. I was not restricted into any one kind of field, any one kind of business that I just want to do this thing. So that way, the intentional growth options became so much more that I was able to choose something else that I was not going to choose in India.
Mhm.
So sometimes society itself, they also kind of pressurize you or they kind of put blocks on you not to go in a particular direction because everybody else is not favoring you to go in that
Yeah,
direction.
exactly. I have my own story. And I just gave that speech and everybody was shocked that, and I told, I mean, I was asked a question, and the bottom line, there was a code. They read the whole code of someone, and here the meaning was do the things which you are not inclined to do. In other words, so and I was the speaker, and it was an extemporaneous speech there. They just asked a question. They gave me 10 minutes. It's a long. So I said, okay, that's the story of my life. I born in Pakistan, like you were in India. I born in a middle class, upper middle class family. I never had any intention to go in medical school, but in my culture, in our culture, the final word comes from your parents, what you are going to do. So I was forced to be in medical school. I became a doctor, and once I became, I said, now I am a doctor, so I have to do whatever I can. I did very well, but I never ever wanted to be a doctor, period. So it didn't attract me, but I did very well. I became very popular. Then I did my fellowship. I was a surgeon. I was performing every day 14, 15 hours, the procedures and outpatient and everything, and very popular there. But I was never satisfied. But my problem was in that culture, in that country, you can't do anything because everybody is going to point their fingers. Are you crazy? You're a surgeon and you're doing this. And finally, I left the country. And everybody said, oh, why you didn't go to medicine here? Correct? I'm an MD, and everybody's going to say, oh, why you didn't continue? Okay, because I left the country, I had only $400 in my pocket. Tell me, in $400 you can get the license here. You have to wait a year and a half to go through all that process. And I had 2 kids and a wife who couldn't speak English. So I decided not to go, and I did my master's in business. I walked in the same way group, and I found my own way. And I became a salesperson, and I became in top 5 in the country. So did I incline to do as a sales guy? Never. My passion was, which I'm doing now. And it took me 60 years to get back to where I wanted. That was my passion from the beginning, that I want to touch people's lives, I wanted to be a speaker, I wanted to go out, and I'm a party guy, I want to be a public person, kind of stupid things I had, which I'm doing now. So it took me 60 years. So you're right, I mean, sometimes my intentionality couldn't work at that point, but now it does. So we all have our stories. So the second law of growth, which is again, we discussed a little bit earlier by Mr. Sayed too, law of awareness. So you must know yourself to grow yourself. If you don't know, if you don't have a trust in yourself, how are you going to grow? So you have to see your own picture in your own mind.
How you know?
Uh-huh.
I only printed out 3 I have.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you. Let me see, copy or,
I have
like,
it
I'll
on-
give you the filled out I have here.
I have it on my computer.
No, but I'll give you filled, don't worry, I have this here. Once at the end, I'll give you these.
Okay.
So, you must know yourself to grow yourself. And first of all, you have to know who are you. Who are you? Do you have sense of direction? That who are you? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your interests? And what are your opportunities? If you know these 4 things about yourself, you can grow very well. And always pick out of those 4 2 things, more than enough. Number 1, what are your choices are? Means, do you want to correct your attitude? Do you want to learn public speaking? Do you want to do whatever you want to do? That's your passion is. The second thing which you have to learn is, what is your strength, which can make that happen? See, that's called a skill. What a skill God gave you already, which you have, but you never focused on. Like I had it forever, and that's why I became a better salesperson. I'm telling you, I was a good doctor, not a great doctor, but I was a great salesperson, not a good salesperson, because of that personal skill. So education didn't work there. Environment didn't help me anything, but because of my personal insight, that skill gave me that edge. So we all have something in ourselves. We all are unique people. So take a little time and think about yourself. What's the most powerful strength you have in yourself? And automatically, it will tell you what to do. Same thing, then you pick your one subject, like choice. What should I correct in myself? Sometimes people have attitude issues. Sometimes people have a motivation issue, inspiration issue, whatever it is. So you just pick two of these things and start working on that slowly and gradually. Down the road, in 3 months, 6 months, you will see the difference in yourself. So pick those 2 things. I got this question, why did I join Toastmaster? And that was my best speech I ever did in Toastmaster, and I won that contest too. So that was my topic, how did I join Toastmaster? And I'm telling you, it was 2013, February. 2013, February. I was a typical car sales guy, very successful in that field, but very distracted human being. and I was addicted to play poker. Think about that. Every night I used to go in different bars. You know, they have a free poker tournaments. And I used to go there, and I was a great, I mean, I was very popular that I'm a great poker player because I used to win $30 and $40 and $50 every night. But that's the, they used to pay because it's free. And by the time I used to get home was like midnight, and I was a miserable nonsense, never talked to my wife because in midnight they were sleeping. So, and then next morning I have a hangover and I had to go to work kind of thing. So I was destroyed and distracted person. And I was thinking, and what the heck I'm doing? And then everybody is, one day I was thinking that why I'm wasting my time. And it was 7 years in a row I was doing that. It's not 1 day, 2 day, or 1 month. 7 years I was doing that. And one day I hated myself that night when I was driving home. I said, why am I wasting myself? I see all these stupid idiots every night. They fight for $30 for 4 hours. Obviously, 4-hour tournament for what? $40? Do you think it's my worth? I was a top 5 people in the country in sales, so money was not my challenge.
If you're 4 hours in a bar, you spent that.
Yeah, and they used to take my tab only and kind of. So I was really upset. So I walked in this place, and I was sitting there, and there was a gentleman next to me, and it's a bar, so he was by himself, I was sitting next to him, and we start talking, and he said, you don't look really good, I mean, are you okay? And I didn't know this guy. He just asked me, I said, no, I'm okay. No, you don't. So I said, no, I'm thinking, I have this issue, and I'm trying to get out of this. He said, that's easy for us. So it was a Saturday when we were talking. He said, tomorrow is Sunday, you don't work. I said, no. I said, go to this Perkiomen Park next door where I was sitting in Audubon. Go there, sit by yourself, take your pack of cigarettes. In those days I was a smoker, but a chain smoker. And sit there, take your cup of coffee and just relax and think your previous life, what you did the best. What was one thing which you did always good? And you'll find your way. Honestly, next day I did it, and I was thinking, yeah, from the childhood, I was in school, I was a union guy, I was a leader, I was doing this, as a doctor, because I became so successful, because I was a good speaker, I could handle patients properly in terms of attitude and all that. Then I became a salesperson. So everything which I did based on one thing, my skill, which was my speaking skill. So I said, why I should not focus on this rather than playing poker? It's not going to get me anywhere, $40 a night. So Monday morning, I'm sitting at my computer at work, and I'm looking for speaking classes to take. And every time I type, one name popped up. You know what it was? Toastmasters. And I was thinking, shut up. I want to get rid of these stupid drunk people, and now you're telling me to go there and those drunk people are giving a toast? I don't want it. Believe me, 45 minutes an hour I'm just throwing away, and I'm looking for the classes. So the classes are going to start in May and this and that. And finally, one name popped up. Jay knows that. We the speakers, you know what it is. So we the speakers. I said, wow, that sounds so good. So I wrote this email to that website that I would like to join your forum. Would you be kind enough to let me know what are the requirements? 20 minutes later, I get an email that this is a Toastmasters Club. And we made 7:30 at Conshohocken in Philadelphia Inquirer building. And you are cordially invited this Wednesday. And today is Monday, so it means Wednesday night at 7:30. Show up. There is no charge, no fee, nothing. And as many times you would like to be a guest of our blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. Now, so I said, let's try that. I don't know what it is, but I will try. 7 o'clock, 7:30, I drove the car to the Conshohocken and found that building on Route 23 and walked in upstairs. Here's 20 excellent, nicest people I ever met, kind of people were sitting there. So I went there, everybody welcomed me so friendly like we do in Toastmasters. Now you all know that. Everybody was smiling, and I sat down, and then I was watching these people. The guy who emailed me, his name is Ken Krawczyk. He ran twice for the governor of Pennsylvania from Libertarian, and he's running third time now. And so he sent me that email, and here's Elliot Dennis, who was in the world champion of public speaking last year in the finals. And they all were part of that group, and they said, oh, good to have you, and this. Now I'm looking, where is that drunk people? Where those drunk people are? There's no drinks are there. So and at the end, what happened actually after the meeting was over, and Ken said, would you like to join post-toasting? I said, what is that? He said, across the street there is a bar. I said, okay, let's go, and I'm gonna pick your brain. Within 10 minutes, I asked every question which I have in my mind. And I said, tell me how much it's gonna cost. He said, Faz, $36 for 6 months. I said, excuse me, $36 per meeting? Or he said, no, $36 for 6 months. I said, I'll buy for 6 months. It's $360 if you want. He said, no, we do every 6 months. So I said, here's my $36. I'm in. Because it was the greatest experience of my life in that night. Following couple of months later, I became the vice president of that club. 3 months later, I was in international convention in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was appointed as an area governor, in those days. And following year, I ran for division governor, and I became the division governor of the year. So I won all those records because of my passion was. And here I am as a Toastmaster. I don't need a recognition locally. I have been already recognized internationally with my friends, all the presidents, because that was a passion. So that's one skill in my mind was, made me to do that, and now I'm doing this because of the Toastmasters. So everybody has one of those, find yourself, awareness. That's called law of awareness. So you find your strength, you make your choice, and go from there. There are 3 kinds of people when it comes to finding the direction. Number 1, people who don't know what they would like to do. Correct? You have seen those people. People who don't know what they would like to do. And they are called?
Confused,
They are confused.
on autopilot.
All right? People who know what they want to do but don't do it, who they are?
I call them lazy.
That's what I was thinking.
They are frustrated.
Oh, I understand that's what he says, but I'm just trying to say,
I think it's just lazy.
I think if they were truly frustrated,
Yeah. And
I'm
then
with you. I'm going with yours.
it could be. Yeah, like I said, we all have our own opinions. So don't worry about what he said. That's the reason we are here. So yeah, I agree with you too, by the way, because they are lazy. And the same thing, the third category is people who know what they want to do and do it. They are fulfilled people. They are accomplished people in our common language. So we can fill this out. Do you have a sense of direction to fill in the blank? To grow yourself, you must know the following: your strength, your weakness, your interest, and your opportunities. So to reach your full potential, you must know where you are and where you want to be. And like I said, there are 3 kinds of people. People who don't know what they would like to do, they are confused. People who know what they want to do but don't do it, they are frustrated or lazy or whatever you want to name yourself. And people who know what they want to do and do it, they are fulfilled people.
so I I'd like to add a comment
Yeah.
to the story that you had about your discovering Toastmasters.
Mm-hmm.
Without the bold, purposeful action that you took after reflecting on what you wanted to change in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and going to Toastmasters, but not just going to Toastmasters, taking advantage of the opportunities that pursued.
Mm-hmm.
So you were at the conventions and you were doing the things, so there, you took full advantage of the, Toastmasters was there before you discovered it.
Mm-hmm.
That was, opportunities were there, but it was only when you chose to take action
Mm-hmm.
and stop wasting your time playing poker
Yeah.
and start doing something that could be fulfilling in your
Yeah.
life,
Mhm.
that you grew from where you were, dissatisfied and frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
to now living the life that you desire, where
Yeah.
you're out doing, helping many more people. So I just think it's an excellent example
Yeah.
from the story of the
Mhm.
manifestation of the
Exactly.
lesson.
And that's why there was a one thing, how far you want to go. You had to know that. You decide how far. And obviously when you have a passion for doing something, then you don't feel like you're working, because you're passionate. If you do whatever you love, then you don't feel like you work. Like I believe he's a tennis player, so he enjoys it rather than feeling like it's a job or work, because that's his passion. I believe, obviously, sports is like that. Same thing, whatever you do, and if you love it, you are going to feel the same way. I mean, you're not feeling like you're working. So now, becoming aware of your identity, how to find your passion and purpose. So discuss the need of personal awareness, which is what does it mean to be personally aware. So let me ask one question to all of you, but just give me a brief answer so we can run to the third and fourth law quickly. Do you like what you're doing now?
Love it.
Okay. Do you like what you're doing now?
I do like it, I don't enjoy it yet.
Okay.
I like aspects of it. There's parts I like and parts I don't like of it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's why I wanted to come here. I'm trying to see if I can find something else.
Good. No, go ahead. Answer truthfully. This is a team where we answer each other. It's not a test, it's not a, we promise you we are not going to disclose your information. All right? So my point is, so we can help each other, but my point is, like Jay, what do you?
I took the time to think about and design the life that I wanted to have,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm living my dream right now.
Great.
So, because I know
Mhm.
what's important to me.
Sunny.
I'm also in a situation where I'm kind of contemplating what to do next. Like, I'm not 100% satisfied with what I'm doing. Satisfaction, not in the way that I'm making not enough money or not that that's not goal.
That's not good.
Everything else is in place, but I want to do something else in life.
Mm-hmm.
I will say what I'm doing right now professionally, yes, I love it. I
Okay.
want to excel myself in that. But I want to do something other than for my profession, some extracurricular activity or something to pick that up and do something
Mm-hmm.
straight up
Mm-hmm.
good thing and make something. I want to do something else other than my profession also.
Mm-hmm. So the overall people, and I ran into so many people, and every day when I run into people, and when I ask this question, do you like what you're doing? Do you like your job? 75% people, they don't. And I say, so why you're doing it? They have no answer. And I can't understand people, if you don't like what you're doing every day for years and years, why you're doing it? How you say that you're living a life? That's not a life. If you're doing for 6 months, maybe you need it. I'm talking years. I have friends of mine in this my own profession, at my workplace. They've been working there for 14 years, 17 years. And every single morning, first thing you ask them, hey, how you doing? And good morning. And they start complaining. 14 years, I've been listening to the same complaint. Think about me.
I heard someone once say, in only 13 years I can retire. And I'm thinking, what the fuck are you doing with that attitude? I mean, 13 years you're gonna keep doing what you don't like doing?
Yeah, and then
Because that's all that's left?
so that's the difference between whiners and winners. The whiners, they always complain before they do something, or they want to get results before they do something. Winners, they do something and they enjoy the results. That's two different things.
Yeah, I guess with me, I think it's more like, it's good to have that comfort because you know what you're doing, but then you know that you want to do something else, but you haven't found that something else yet, and that's the roadblock.
Excellent.
That's why it's,
mhm.
you're still doing what you're doing, and you're still trying to like look for something else. What is that something else?
3 weeks ago, I was in a lunch and learn meeting. And in a major corporation, I can't disclose the name of the company because of professional my contract with them. So I was giving a lunch and learn meeting, and this is exactly what you said. This lady came to me. She's pretty much like a management, middle management lady. And she said, Father, I don't know. I don't find what I want to do yet, and I'm looking for something which I want to do. I said, okay, how long you been looking for? My question is, how long you been looking for? Oh, it's been like 20 years. I said, you couldn't find in 20 years? I said, okay, I don't understand. So I said, just give me 3 things. If I will, just think this whole scenario which I'm saying you. If you wake up tomorrow morning and suddenly you open your bank account on your iPhone and there are $3 million already into that, what you're going to do? Money is no more challenge, okay? You have $3 million in your bank account, so money is not your issue, okay? So first thing is gone, which is the most of the time people have an excuse to do whatever they are doing, so because they have a salary. So now there is no challenge, okay? So what's the first thing you are going to do? Not for fun. I'm not talking about your fun. It's not about fun. It's what you are going to do after all having that. What you are going to pursue as a profession.
Some business.
Okay, some business means what some business means.
Once I get $3 million.
Yeah, you're going to buy a $3 million magnet so it can attract all the change.
No,
What does it mean?
it means not only doing one type of business, doing small couple of business. and
Yeah,
getting
so my
more
point
experience.
is there must be a clear picture. Business is a very vague word, all right? Business could be anything. Business, like a drug dealing, is a business. People do that. I mean, they take it as a business. We don't. It's illegal, but it's a business. So my point is you have to have a clear picture. I'm talking money is not issue. So why you are confused now? My question is why you are still confused? Tell me what exactly you want to do. That's all. That's your passion. It's going to be.
You said no. You said no fun. I want to travel the world.
No, fun is different. Fun is it's automatically is following. When you have money, when you have a successful career, you have all the money is chasing you. So fun is going to be there. So fun is not your goal. Your goal is what you're going to do as a professional. If you're doing right now in real estate, correct?
Well, I have a couple of careers already.
Okay, whatever. I'm the last time when you told me was
But
a real estate.
I'm still doing real estate.
So my point is, if money is no longer challenged, are you going to pursue the same profession or not?
That's been my question.
You know, I think most people don't fathom that it's possible that they could achieve the lifestyle that they'd really desire, so they never even think about it. most people can't envision a time
Mhm.
when all of their time isn't committed to things they don't wanna be doing.
Mhm.
But once you realize that you can achieve financial independence through
Mhm,
passive
mhm,
means
mhm.
that can free up your time,
Mhm.
all of a sudden, lifestyle freedom becomes permissible.
Mhm.
And then you really begin to think about, how do I want to achieve significance in life,
Mhm.
in service of some form? Because you don't achieve significance doing something for yourself, you achieve significance doing something to enhance somebody else's life.
Yeah.
And you find the place that you can express your own talents to be able
Well,
to
like
facilitate.
if you have watched American Idol, have you watched?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how many times you saw those people come on that television, and as soon as they start, you mute your channels? Nobody wants to hear that, and I feel so bad for them. Where are their friends? Can't they ask them, come on side, I want to talk to you, that you can't sing? But my point is, but that's their passion, doesn't mean anything, because that's not the right choice for them. They are not fit for it. Like, I want to be like Oprah. What is that nonsense? Oprah is Oprah. I have to be fast, not Oprah. Correct? So my point is, you have to find your own passion. Because don't compare, don't imitate, don't see anybody. You have to know yourself. You have to have a self-awareness, what I can do the best. For example, Sonny is a strong businessman. I know personally him, very successful. But he's not happy in that sense that he wants to do something different. So money is not the challenge here. His challenge is to find the passion. So how to find your passion?
During this discussion, while you were asking him the question, I was thinking about this, and one thing came to my mind. I might start writing. Not that start, I do write blogs and just articles and stuff like that, essays. I might do more of that.
Perfect. I have this guy walk to me honestly and said, Faz, like I told you last night, the blogger, I want to be a blogger. Okay. So what I had to do? I said, you have to write. It's very simple. How you can be a blogger without writing it?
Right,
So you have to write it first.
right.
All right. So that's the whole thing is. So you start writing.
Right.
Period. He's an author. How he did? He wrote.
Okay,
Just
so
decide to-
that's your dream, to become an author and?
No, and quite honestly, it was initiated as a marketing tool. So I was at a phase in my life when I was raising a lot of capital for private loans for people to flip houses. That's what I did for a period of time. And I needed to be able to build trust. When people are gonna lend $25,000, $50,000 toward a mortgage, they need to trust you. And so I felt that if I published a book, and the first book was called Harder Working Money, How You Can Get a Better Return on Your Capital, so I wrote the book and had physical books and started handing them out as like a business card when I would be meeting somebody. And I'm sure that half the books that I handed out never got read. But people looked at me differently because I gave them a book, and it was a professional book, and when they read it, it was actually had an awful lot of stuff in there
Yep.
that was insightful. And then I wrote a second one when I got a partner,
So
and you just choose to do it.
see, you just answered the second part of this law, that can you do what you would like to do? And then you just said, do you know what is the difference between what you want and what you are good at? So if I'm, like I told you my story, I was good at speaking. So I turned into that speaking hobby or whatever passion is into a profession now. Same thing, something you have too. So you can just connect whatever you're doing with that passion, automatically that's going to be the best choice for you. So you can find, and everybody has one skill, multiple skill, but one is always a dominant skill in yourself, which you don't realize sometimes.
And I also wanted to, I kind of felt like when you asked, do you like to do what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, I do like to do what I'm doing, but there is certain, like, once you switch careers or whatever, it doesn't automatically become enjoyable just because you thought you're gonna like it. I feel like I'm at the stage where I do what I like to do, but I'm not good at it yet. So it's not enjoyable yet, and you gotta like sort of work through the phase where you like it, but it's kind of hard and it's not fun, and it's and eventually you feel like it's gonna
You know,
become fun.
to a degree, it's like when you're younger and you start dating. At first, going on dates is all about acceptance. Doesn't matter who the hell it is. It's just that somebody wanted to spend some time with you, and there was that feeling of, I'm now doing something that's supposed to be desirable. And after a bit of time, you begin to realize some of the people I'm dating I don't really enjoy being with. So it's acceptance isn't enough anymore. Then you really want to feel that chemistry and.
Yeah, I mean, you see, like even the good things done with the wrong motive can become a disaster. And sometimes people they ask me to, oh, you are a motivational speaker? I said, no, never. I don't want to be. Because motivation is an action. I can be inspirational to change your mindset so you can motivate yourself. Number one. Number two, I don't want to motivate people. If you motivate an idiot, what you're going to find from a motivated idiot, correct? So that's even more dangerous than anybody else because he's motivated idiot now. So you don't want to motivate, okay? So that's it. Do you know what to do so you can do what you want to do? So you have to be aware of, and then you have to take an action, and then you have to be accountable. And with these groups, we try to become accountability partners to each other. So like I mentioned you in the first phase that feel free to call each other in case if you don't have, get each other an email or call me, I will send you, and you can ask each other questions as an accountability. How did you make out this week? How did you do that? Did you apply this thing at your work or wherever you like? So in this way we can ask each other and we can see growing ourselves together. Do you know, people, what you would like to do? So there are certain factors you have to be, there are certain principles. You have to get committed. You have to be consistent, you have to be creative, you have to be purposeful, you have to be reflective, and you have to be grateful. All these things, when you do, you are going to grow. Okay, so any question on this law right now? Because we are going to move forward, we are running late, so we are going to probably end up on the third quickly. Any question about awareness? So let's go and run into the law number 3rd, which is a very interesting law to me, and basically because I'm in sales, and whoever has a sales career, he knows what does it mean, law of the mirror. All right? You must see value in yourself and add value to yourself. That's the law of the mirror. So, but you have to understand first yourself. You have to see where you want to be, and then you can grow yourself. If you don't see yourself as a successful person, why I'm going to see you? If you don't trust in yourself, why should I trust you? If I'm not excited, if I'm not inspired by my own product, and I'm not enthusiastic how somebody else is going to be. Like if you remember last time I told you what's the definition of sales. If you remember, sales, can you give me definition? What do you mean by sales? You were a realtor, at least I know that.
Well, so to me, you know, the buyer has to like the product.
Okay.
So I can push on something that they may not like and it's gonna take forever, but if I find something that they like, it's like easier.
that's your way to look, but okay, anybody else? Sales, what do you mean by sales?
I'm still thinking about it, trying to get a definition.
I would say it's helping someone make an informed decision. So they're educated enough they can understand what's gonna be in their own benefit.
What comes in my mind is people's person. People's person. Not a definition.
I mean, that's
Just-
say one characteristic salesperson should have, but that's not the definition of sales. Sales,
I think sales for me
itself,
I think it's coaching. Because you really are trying to make them better with, like, you're coaching them, I think I'm with Jay on that. You're helping them with a decision, but you're coaching them, like, you're giving them what they need. You're helping, you're making their life better with whatever you're providing, the service.
all they're excellent answers, okay, by the way, and they all are, but they all are part of the process of selling. I'm asking, what is the sales? It's two different things.
One thing we may add here is that when we say sale, we're not saying donation, we're not saying guidance, we're not saying
Sales.
anything else, just sales. So when we say sales, there has to be some kind of transaction involved, there has to be a giver and a taker. So by that transaction, by sales, we would mean that we're trying to convince somebody to pay for something that we have shown them the advantage of, or that we can create an
Yes.
interest in their mind for that particular item or commodity.
Awesome. Like I said, everything is perfectly answered, but still definition of sales didn't come out of those because these are processes. Like convincing is a process, it's not itself a sale. Because you are, in other words, I don't even see as a process, like she said, I have to push, you said convince. It's more or less pretty close, but those are manipulations, not sales. You are manipulating people. Sales is nothing. Sales is transferring of enthusiasm from you to someone else. If you are as enthusiastic as I am about my product, what you're going to end up with? Fine, correct? That's called sales. So if I'm not enthusiastic about my own product, my own service, whatever I do, whatever I sell, and if I transfer that enthusiasm to you during my conversation, without pushing, without convincing, without manipulating, what you're going to end up with. That's called sales. Then these all are processes. How to do it means I have to convince it, I have to do this, I have to do that. But my definition of sales is just transferring from me to you. And people, 99% people don't buy product. They don't. You know, they buy other things more than product. For example, I have to buy a pen. I can walk in Walmart, I can get it 99 cents, correct, a ballpoint? But I'm gonna walk in Office Depot or whatever the other places are, good ones. I pay $39.99 for a ballpoint. So was I buying a ballpoint pen? No. Because they both are pens. I paid $39 more than 99 cents. Why? Because I was buying three things. Number one, dependability, reliability, and quality. Quality comes from the brand. Like I have a Mont Blanc, for example, that's a quality. Reliability comes from the company which I'm dealing with, and dependability comes from the person which I'm dealing with. Is he dependable if I'll walk back? For example, Sonny is my client for a while, correct? But he knows whenever he's going to walk in, or his son or his wife, they are going to come to me, correct? It happens?
Oh, yeah.
That's called dependability because of personal relationship there, correct? So that's how it works. Sales is nothing, it's just the transferring of enthusiasm. The rest is all processes. How you handle that. Some people do differently, some people do differently. I have my own way, somebody else has his own way. All right, so let's jump onto this law of the mirror. So let's go look into the mirror, the power of positive self-esteem. If you know that you have a positive self-esteem, you value yourself, everybody's going to value you. But if you don't trust in yourself, you don't value yourself, why you're expecting somebody else is going to value? I mean, this is one of my selling point when I was talking to different corporations. One of the CEO asked me, why I need a coach? Why I need a coach? I said, because you want to be a professional and successful. That's why you need a coach. All the pros and successful people have a coach. All the mediocres, they don't. So where you want to be? But I am so and so. I'm a CEO of a pharmaceutical company. How you're going to coach me? I said, I'm not looking for your job, so I have to be a pharmaceutical guy. Correct? Otherwise, I will be replacing you. That's not my motive. So I don't need that job. I'm not going to live your life. I'm going to live my life. You are a professional pharmaceutical guy. That's why you are a CEO. I'm a professional coach. That's why you need me. It's two different professions. But my job is coaching, not doing your job. So a lot of time people, we will talk later on in the next session. What is called coaching? A lot of I know Sayed is a coach, but to me, I mean, coaching is different. It's a total different concept of coaching in business. So we'll talk on that. So, but if I'm not going to trust in my own, how he's going to pay me? So sometimes people say, Father, I want to be a public speaker, paid public speaker. How many times have you heard that? Correct? Everybody talks about it in my Toastmaster. I want to be paid for this. I want to be paid coach. I want to be paid mentor. Correct? You heard all these. So I always ask them, do you pay to your mentor?
Right.
Do you have a mentor? Oh, no, I don't. So why I'm going to pay you? If you're not willing to pay your mentor, why should I pay you? Correct? So same thing, you have to invest in yourself first to grow. So people will see your growth and they will follow you and they will pay you. And they will ask you to be their mentor. They will ask you to be their coach. They will ask you to come in their corporation or company to speak. But if you never paid to attend any seminar, anything in your life, how you're expecting that they are going to pay you? So believing in yourself, in other words, is called law of mirror. So making the turn toward positive change, you have to, let's go here, positive self-esteem. Self-esteem is the single most significant key to a person's behavior. Low self-esteem puts a ceiling on your potential. The value we place on ourselves is usually value others place on us. If you place a small value on yourself, rest assured the world will not raise the price. That's what I was trying to explain to you. You got that? So if you are not giving yourself a value, how somebody's going to give you more price? So you have to make your price up. Guard your self-talk. How you're going to build your self-image? Guard your self-talk. How many people, they talk themselves? Let me ask this way.
We all do.
Do we? I even talk loudly to myself because I can hear less. I try to make sure I'm hearing. So my point is we all have to talk ourselves. We talk. And a lot of time people tell them that, oh, they have been distracted by this and that. I said, nobody can distract you more than yourself. Because worst part of our life is we listen to ourselves most. And that's the problem. Because we talk too much and then we listen to ourselves. So my point is, that's another.
I really like the image of a devil on one side and an angel on the other side, and you ask the question, is this thought or this self-talk, is it going to take me in the direction I want to go? And our ego doesn't like change, doesn't like growth, so it's always bringing up negativity, limiting beliefs and whatnot. And you just need to learn to project that. If you say this thought, that I can't do something, or that, there isn't enough resources, or whatever the issue is, isn't gonna take me where I wanna go, you need to dismiss that self-talk. And if it's empowering, on the other hand, if it's that sage mind that's aligned with your desires and your vision, you need to say, this thinking is gonna take me, so I need to support that.
Of course, yeah.
And so the whole idea of affirmations, they say something like 80% of the self-talk we hear is negative.
Yep.
And the reason that affirmations work is because you're taking a break from the negativity. It almost doesn't matter what the specifics are. It's an empowering, positive thought. To the degree it's aligned with your
Yes,
desires,
yeah.
it's even better.
So number 2 is you have to stop comparing yourself to others. Making comparison is amazingly powerful attraction that is really just an unneeded distraction to your own potential. Number 4 is move beyond your own self-limiting beliefs. Like Charles Schwab said, when a man puts a limit on what he will do, he places a limit on what he can do. So discuss the steps like identity, a limiting belief that you want to change. Determine how that belief limits you and decide how you want to act, feel, or think. And decide a turnaround statement that affirms or gives you the permission to act, feel, or think differently. Number 5 is add value to others. Very important. Add value to others. Number 6 is do the right things even if it's the hard thing. And that's the really character comes from. Your character is always being observed when nobody was watching you, but still you are doing the right thing. Because most of the time people do right things because of the fear of getting caught.
Right.
But that's not the character then. Character is when you do the right things, even nobody was watching you. And practice a small discipline daily in a specific area means celebrate small victories. Embrace a positive vision for your life based on what, and practice the one-word strategy. And the bottom line is you have to always, always, always celebrate your small accomplishments every day.
I apologize, I have to.
No, yeah, that's why I wanted to, because we ran a little late.
See you all next week.
Because it was the first one and some people. So my point is, always enjoy small winnings every day. Don't look for a big win. Just the small accomplishments, small achievements which we do every day. Even you learn a new word, enjoy it. Celebrate it. I do. Small celebrations makes the big happinesses in your life. Not the big happiness, that's temporary stuff. And always enjoy your failures. Because winning or success is not the key where you grow. Failure makes you to grow because you learn how those things, they don't work. And you learn a way to not to do next time that mistake. You always learn a lesson from all of that. So any thought about this last law before we wrap up?
I think it's one of the things to know when you're growing. Because you may think it's painful, but not realizing the universe is teaching you growth.
Huh?
I think a lot of times we just see it as just pain.
Yes.
Not as this is a necessary process.
No pain, no gain. Correct? No pain, no gain. So any other thought? Sorry we ran a few minutes late because it was the first one and few people were a little bit late, so it's okay. But make sure we are going to have right on time, and we have 2 or 3 people who couldn't make it tonight, they emailed me, so they will be joining us too. And, but again, I mean, it's a journey. Feel free to contact each other or me, or if you have any questions regarding to, we can talk. I can send you some more material if you would like to read or something. And I have a couple videos I'm doing for, like, I just did on the same subject, lunch and learn. We did a 45-minute talk, which was a summary of few laws. I just made 3 laws in that: intentionality, law of rubber band, which was my favorite, and which we are going to go further than we are going to learn. And so these are really, I mean, you just apply a little bit every day, and come up with next week, come up with some applications which you did, so we can enjoy that. Because we have to learn from each other. These are the real experiences, not John Maxwell did.
I think because I attended the last class and I thought it was very helpful. And I personally, I cannot do the whole book, but I think the 2 laws of leadership attributes, the 2 things I thought stuck with me. I don't know if some of the people know this. Law of the lid
Oh.
and the law of navigation. I've really used that.
Every day. I use few of these.
Yeah,
And law of lead, I mean, it's the basic first one.
yeah.
In navigation, but I use all that, and you're going to see they are very similar to each other. It's
But
nothing
it is,
different.
so my point is like, these are very beneficial, these are great, it makes you think,
Mhm.
you know, so hopefully, no, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
thank you very much.
No, no, I'll see you next week, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Father.
No, it's my pleasure.